Record.
Okay, good. All right.
So I have this thing called Azure Portal. And here is the component called AppInsights. This is a standard monitoring for enterprise applications. And I configured all high applications, including labs and vaccines, and including alpha, beta, and production to send telemetry data here. Telemetry is just a fancy word for logs.
Okay.
So here they have some control over who can see it, and they have application map which shows, based on the analysis of data that is sent to them, they identified that we have SQL server called general site, and that we have web applications, I guess. And web applications call into the database, and they also call into the API. This is beta.cairnsoftware.com. This is the API Chris developed. We call it every time there is a user registration to send email. And we also call it from vaccination sites to save the data and validate location and stuff like that. So this is the high level view. And then it has live matrix. This is the screen where the application shows different graphs, how many requests we get per second, what is the duration of requests, how many failures are in those requests, and then some more summary graphs like dependency calls duration, dependency calls failure. So in general, this is a tool to monitor the health of your application when it is distributed across different servers and many different components. So overall health, CPU, this is more like state of the server. So this tool is still a high-level view of the system. Then there is, I will just go by this list of what's available, and then we can dive deeper. So here, we're looking at this live data telemetry. You can see on the right side, the list grows. These are the actual live events that are happening right now, like 3:15 p.m. This is the time right now. And this test sign up is somebody signed up for test. So right now I can see that people are actively signing up for tests as we look at it. Here is one of the get test result events. So people are also checking their test results. So transaction search is something that we might use when we need to find out something that happened. We don't know exactly when, but we have some key information about transaction, like confirmation code or something like that. I'll get back to this view later when we need to look for something specific. So availability is the measurement of how available the system is. It shows you when the system is down, it will show you in this graph that the system was down, there are so many failures, and it will show here some information. Right now, I don't see much information here. So failures is, it collects data about any failures that happen in the system. And We might know about failure if the user calls us and says we cannot sign up, but if the user does not call us, this is the tool that answers the question, is the system even working? And right now we see that this is, by the way, all the information that we see here is filtered. And this right now it shows last 24 hours. This can be changed to last hour or last 30 minutes or last 6 hours, depending on how, like, what we know we need to look for. So we can zoom in and zoom out. So in the last 24 hours, we had 32 500s. 500 is critical internal server error. It's usually happens when something in the API or something in the database fails. 404 means they entered invalid location code. Well, generally 404 means not found, but in our specific application 404, we use 404 when we receive request with invalid location code. And 400 is error code used, but generally it means bad request. In our case, we use it when we get request for retest and either location code or, sorry, not location code, confirmation code or specimen ID is not valid for the retest to work, and then we return 400. So all those invalid returns are collected by this AppInsights, and they produce this summary view for us. So once we get at this level, we may ask questions. What do we need to do to fix those errors? So 500 errors are usually something that we need to fix. 404 and 400 are generally input errors, but it also is a clue for us that maybe we need to improve our system to make it less likely that we will get invalid input. For example, with this 404, we will see that a lot of times users enter incorrect location code because nobody reads instructions. So here is example. So again, this view is organized left to right in a way. So when we select a specific item on this list of 3 items, we get a section on the right side, which is details of this summary. So this line basically says we had 286 responses in the past 24 hours with error code 404. And we can ask a question, what are those requests? And we click here and it shows us that suggested request, one of the 286, they selected one, typical, and all of them, the rest of them are listed below. So we can see even without clicking that all of them are labq/get location. So this is our indication that all of those calls are location validation API calls. This is the API call to validate location. And this says code here. It means a code was provided, which we validate. So now we can click on any of them. I'm going to click on the standard one that they chose, but we can click on any of the items. And when we click, remember this section was on the right, now it's on the left. So this is the same section on the left. We just moved in this horizontal navigation one page. So it's like page right. So now this is on the left, and this is the list of requests. They are all get location requests which returned 404, which means the location was invalid. Now we have this section that shows what was going on in this request. Sometimes it's important to see, drill down inside the request. And on the right side, we see specific details. Some of the details are not really important. We already knew by the time we get here that response code is 404. We know that response time was about 3 milliseconds, which is really good. This is important for us because we can ask a question: was it a production call for get location or test environment? The answer is here. We are looking at the URL labfast.com. That means it's production. If it was saying alpha or beta, then it would mean we were testing. But this is real production. And you can see in this example that somebody just used location code Duluth. And this is not a valid location code. This is just people thinking that the city is the location. So they entered Duluth. We actually do have Duluth without H, Duluth. This is the valid location. So it is, as a lesson from this, we can click on some other requests. We will see, I did this exercise before. We will see a pattern of 3 standard mistakes. A lot of people enter zip code as the location code, and some people enter their confirmation code as the location code. These are people who really don't read instructions, and instead of clicking get results button, keep clicking register button, or maybe they saved a link to the registration page and they just enter location. Instead of location, they enter their register confirmation code to see results. And if you click a bunch of times, this is a different request. This is not a get location request. So this is API LabQLab. So this is validation of something else. This is, I guess it is specimen validation, but they entered non-existent specimen ID. Or maybe this is location code. So something here is also not correct. I think this is not retest. This is validate specimen ID endpoint. Okay, so actually they showed here get lab code. Okay, so this is the name of this request. So this is validation, validate barcode. We call it barcode or specimen ID. So we're passing barcode. The barcode that they passed in this case is CE, which probably is not valid barcode. And this was parameter true, and this was the location. Okay, so this was not successful. Again, most likely because this lab code was, but this is less typical in this list. So let's look at others. Get location. So this is another example where people entered universal as location code. This is probably not a valid location. I can test it by, like, I don't remember all the location names by heart. So I will open Chrome, get another tab. I will go to beta this way, even though I'm using production database, but the request that I'm going to generate going to be invalid, but at least I will know it was testing request because it goes through beta URL. So yes, universal is not a valid location, but people just entered it because it means to them, like when they hear location, they think that maybe universal is what they need to enter. Even though I added text after previous meeting, I put the text on the site. Let's go back to the site. The site, I put this minimum text that I said that if you don't know the location code, contact your test provider, but nobody reads this. So we need to put some really expressive message here, maybe make it bold or something, or maybe it is something that needs to be communicated before they even go to this website, or maybe we need to provide link that will include location code so that we skip this page altogether. Because each time people enter invalid location, it's a chance that they will give up and not want to take the test. I don't know about that, but it's an obstacle on the successful registration process. So another one that we can see. So this is another typical attempt to get location where people just used zip code. And there are a lot of those with different zip codes, so different people make the same mistake. This is another one. I keep seeing this nitro zone. I don't know what it is, but I saw like over 50 of them.
Yeah, there is a site that the medical group has for that.
Yes, but this is not a valid location for us, and this is why it's getting 404.
Yeah, it's some version of that word. So that's what's going on.
This is some kind of creative problem that we need to somehow help people understand what they need to enter here, or make sure that they don't need to enter anything, that it just goes. So this is like, see another nitro zone, maybe same person retrying, maybe another person. We can actually dig deeper and see if it was the same IP address. We have this information somewhere too. So this is another zip code that people enter. And this is yet another zip code. See, different zip code, probably different people. Okay, this is another example of confirmation code used as location code. And there is.
Let's go look at the. Let's look at the error codes that I think are the 500 error code messages. I'd like to see those.
Okay.
Those seem to be. I think those might be more interesting.
Okay.
Is this a application that we already have? Like we've already purchased this and it's already turned on?
Well, this is application that I purchased. I'm using this application with my.
Oh, okay.
And I just combined it. I just used it temporarily for Hive to see how.
We want to do this. Yeah,
me.
we need to be doing this. And we need to do this across everything that we've got. We'll stop recording in a minute. I'd like to come back. I want you to show the 500s in the recording, and then we'll stop our recording.
So yeah. So notice I am moving left in this view, moving back to this list of types of errors, and we have 32 500s in the last 25.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the 500s are things where it's like an improper response to the question or something, or maybe they're trying to put too much information in the field, or I just don't recall what all those were.
This is one typical group of failures. Again, this is production, and it does not tell us here what exactly was wrong. It just says that there was issue with the database. Sometimes it shows this, and this is the case where it does show string or binary data would be truncated. So this is perfect story candidate, and we discussed it with Ashley. We need to do two things. We need to indicate on the front end that they cannot enter more than this many characters. I think some of our fields are 20, some of them 50, and we just need to not allow to enter more characters, and it depends on the field. So this should eliminate this error. So let's see if we.
Okay, so you can stop recording if you want to. And that way you'll be able to make the video.
Okay.